Welcome to the Director's Notes for Apart From Me. I'll start with some background technical information. I have been using an industry standard editing suite consisting of an HP XW8400 workstation running Avid Media Composer 6.5. The traditional methods of cutting and splicing or linear tape editing are now considered outdated. The Avid Media Composer is a non-linear editing suite, edit suite, meaning that the original source files are neither lost nor altered amid the editing procedure. It gives me the power and freedom to control frames regardless of their position in the sequence, without influencing the original file. Many of Avid's tools reflect the more traditional techniques used in flatbed filming editing. For example, I can cut and splice material on the timeline. The difference is that with Avid processes, like cutting, which used to be time-consuming, happen in seconds. I can add great fades, transitions, and any effect that is impossible in the procedure of linear editing. Non-destructive editing comes under audio, video, or image editing, where the first content is not adjusted over the span of editing, instead modified by a specialized software. Before the editing, the movie clips were born under AVCHD MTS files. In order to import the clips into Avid, I started dragging them into the bin, where each and every clips are stored. High definition or standard definitions. Definitions define the quality of video that has been captured and displayed. Standard definition videos come in reduced quality, and it can be recorded in starting from 144p to 480p. The higher the figures, the more pixels are shown and turns out to be less blurry. High definitions, two primary resolutions are 720p and 1080p, giving images or videos a crispier appearance. Yet high definition files are a great deal bigger and will consume more room when contrasted with standard definition. Data transfer rates. This is the measure of digital data that is moved starting with one place, then onto the next, in a provided time. This implies the DTR is seen as the speed of travel of a given measure of data with one place, then onto the next. The more prominent data transmission of the given way, the faster the documents will transfer. In PCs, the data that ends up being transferred for the most part measured in bytes every second. The most elevated DTR is 14 terabytes for every second. This is to date. File types. The file format first begins as an AVCHD record, but after importing it, the Avid changed it into an Avid movie film. Film format is a standard path that data is encoded for storage in a computer file. It indicates how things are practiced onto encode information in a digital storage medium. Film formats could either be free or limited, unpublished or open. After completing the export of the cuts, the file converts itself into an MOV file. This is a sort of format in which the file is used. Typically, it is connected with the Apple QuickTime, an extensible multimedia framework developed, yet it can also be used on Windows Vista. I worked my short film on Windows. Exporting production. It is the next step after having wrapped up editing and updating the sequence into a full video on the hard drive. This file would be then prepared to put out on a DVD, accessible on computers, in my case, upload to YouTube and so on. Before preparing to export it, it is essential to ensure that transitions effects are rendered. For this procedure, you should put an in point toward the beginning of the sequence and out point towards the end. Then you'll need to clip render in and out. Only after the effects that have been rendered out, it will allow you to export the file. After deciding where the video would be exported into, is it advisable to pick a location that is easily memorable, preventing from losing files. During the procedure, it is vital to know the export setting. Each setting will render it out into another format, and some may acquire a smaller file size compared to others. To have the best quality, I ensure that my file is exported at 1080p utilizing the dimensions 920 x 1080. The second to last step is the compression type. This also controls file size, the frame rate I need to render it, and the quality of the compressor. After double checking that the settings are correct, I clicked OK and clicked Save on the exporting settings. This would automatically save all the settings I've chosen and use it again the next time I render another file. Finally, after naming the file and saving it, I would then export the file into settings and a box information, the duration and how long to completion. Editing. So during the process of editing, I ensured that the film looked and acquired seamless continuity and motivated. Seamless editing used to be alluded as invisible editing. The effect it has is so powerful that when watching a scene, it won't be evident that it's been edited. It is very neat, smooth and flowing. It has been very challenging, especially trying to fix it after editing, but it doesn't coordinate with the action. However, so far, I believe that I have did my best with the use of transition has helped me make the cut smoother and continuous. I've applied this at the beginning of the film when the girl is sitting on a bed playing with the blinds and the shot suddenly moves from that to her opening the blinds. It wasn't giving the flow I wanted, so by adding the fade to black transition, it smoothed it out a lot more. Talking about seamless editing, continuity's main purpose is to smooth over the important discontinuity of the procedure of editing, and to build up a logical coherence among sequences and the constitutive shots from which they are made. The main motivation behind it is to ensure that the viewer's engagement in the story is uninterrupted. Shot motivation plays a part within the film. It alludes to cuts that are motivated by some reason, so story, character, feeling, tension, suspense. For example, when the girl turns around and stares at something, it naturally creates an itch within the audience and the eagerness to find out what she's looking at. This would instantly get the viewers hooked into wanting to know the next scene. Tapes. We didn't use tapes as everything was already recorded on video camera and had been saved within the Avid, making it easier for us to access and start editing. Transitions. The two main transitions I used throughout was fade to black and dissolve. They both share the same qualities. The standard dissolve transition duration in editing is 1 second. However, I could change the duration based on the dissolving point in the story. I mainly use this transition to show change in time, to either be sped up or slowed down. Shot reverse shot technique. Shot reverse shot technique is evident in the scene where the father and daughter are talking facing each other. The changes of angles allow the viewers to see the opposite character's expression and emotion. You can see the frustration, the pain when the dad tells her that he can't take care of them anymore and leaves. This shot typically ties in with the 180 rule in order to prevent from any disruption in the continuity to take place. Soundtrack. Adding soundtrack in my film gave it an impact, and by playing with it, I tried to synchronize sound and with what was going on. The primary instrument that can be heard is the piano, and this worked out perfectly, especially during the start of the film. It was peaceful and it starts to play as the title rolls and fades into the first scene. The purpose of this was to warm up the audience and keep it light, and to really feel with what's going on the screen. The second track is quite upbeat, and this really flows with what was going on and sped up the scene, which is appropriate. Offline and online editing. They are historically associated with videotape. However, tape has been replaced by disc-based and solid-state recording. And numerous professional application, both offline and online procedures, still has noteworthy focal points. Luckily, on the Avid, both offline and online editing can be found. I'm able to choose formats depending on what I want to be focused on and to stand out. Going for the high format would mean the whole editing process would be slow, but the result would be appreciated for. And slow format means the speed is fast, but the overall quality would seem to be quite tacky. Pace effectively. Personally, I feel the pace I decided to go for was perfect, as it wasn't completely sad to be slow-paced or too dramatic for it to be fast-paced. It was a perfect mixture of both, giving it a neutral outlook. For instance, when the girl was sitting on the bed playing with the blinds, I really want the audience to connect with the character and feel for her. However, the next shot is of her getting up and peeking through the kitchen door, then running away as the man sees her. This genre of the film is social realism, meaning that there's a mixture of everything but still be realistic in order for me to stand by the genre. Compression. Compression time in a video is when you make the duration shorter than the real time. Time compression is the main element of editing and is used in most productions to some degree. Any great editor should comprehend the function of it, as well as many other techniques that can be used to compress time. Some shots that are useful can also contain a lot of unnecessary elements that could potentially ruin the motive and the pace of the film. For example, a scene where the girl puts on her shoes, but the actual shot itself was too long, so I had to cut it down so it wouldn't slow down the process of the movie.